Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and this is Movie Crap. How y'all doing? I'm waiting to hear me beautiful voice here. I do not know what this is. Can I hear myself? Can I not hear me?
Hey, what's up? It's Jim.
Oh, there's that piece of shit. Alright. I've tweeted out the thing. Why is Sonic the movie trending on Twitter? As well as Chadwick. Because Chadwick Boseman's at a basketball game? I don't really understand that, but cool. People get trending because they go to basketball games now? That's a thing? Whatever. Let's take down this picture. Hey! How's everybody doing? It is Saturday night, 10:30 p.m. And we are here... Me moving my leg, that wasn't smooth. We are here to talk about movie news on Movie Crap. Ryan's here, Will's here, Catbot, Disco Spider, Zane Powers, Chaos, 5338, Next Animation, Bruce Parker. Everybody's here in the chat, here to... I don't know why. I was feeling tired right before. Ransan Film is also here. We are here. Chadwick the Hedgehog, that's a good one. Sodberg, did it right. We are here to talk about the latest movie and animation news here on Movie Crap. And although it was a slow news week, it really was. I still have stuff. Niji Kichu is here. I've missed you. It's been a few episodes without you. Jordan Bushard, everybody. Anyway, sorry. Yes. So we're here. It's a slow movie news week, which is also why I'm going to be doing a Lost Film File about a John Waters short towards the end. But I think this is going to be a good show. I'm excited. Someone asked me about Gods of Egypt fame. Nice, Ryan. Only you. Film poo. If someone rips me off, I hope they're... If it's not called film poo, I'll be upset. If it's called, like, the pretentious of the film reel or something. I should have had my pretentious film reel out as a prop. Anyway, someone just asked about Robert Crumb and what work I would recommend. I'm not the biggest Robert Crumb fan. I've read some. I don't know what I would recommend, but I would say watch the documentary at the very least. I'm not sure who that was, but whoever that is, I hope I answered your question. I would say, just get one of those collections that has the early shit in it, or if that's too weird, American Splendor. Anyway, I hope I answered that. All right, everybody. So, before we get started into talking about various movie news and animation stories. Oh, hold on. Chaos 5338, first snooper chat of the night. So I was about to introduce that. Always loved watching your vids. Can't wait to see the Sonic sequel be made. I need more connections to video games in the next movie. I think that would be a good one. Thank you for the super chat, Chaos 5338, for the first super chat of the night. Cheers to you. Which gives me cinema feces. Man, Ryan, if I ever rebrand, I'm messaging you first. Anyway, sorry. You guys make me laugh. This show and all of my content is pretty much completely supported by you, the fans, either through Super Chat during the show, and I very much appreciate if you're able to do so. If you're not, that is fine too, as well as my Patreon, which is linked below in the description of this video, and pretty much every video I make. So all your support is I'm very thankful and grateful for any of that support. If you cannot or financially not able to, just watching and liking is good enough as well. I thank you very much for being here and watching any of my content. That is incredibly nice of you, and I thank you so much. If you're able to support me, through Super Chat or Patreon, I also very much appreciate it. It is very amazing of you guys, and it's supported by viewers like you. Everyone wants me to say that, I might as well. Ransam Film says, I saw Parasite in theaters today. Oh, cool. That is really awesome of you. Zane Power said, Jim, I forgot to give you my research on Sonic. Sorry. It's okay. I kind of just want to review the movie itself, but thank you for reaching out and everything like that. But Ransom Film, I'm glad. But Zane Powers, thank you for wanting to do that. Man, Ryan, you're making me laugh. For wanting to give me research. Interesting. I'll just mention the Parasite thing because Ransom Film brought it up. But before I say that, Oh, man, I have to drink a I don't know where I am on these Red Bull drinks at this point. But so thank you guys. You've been very nice to me. The notification said might not stay for the whole stream, just saying hi. Thank you very much. You can always catch up with it later. There's timestamp links in the description as well. But thank you very much for being here. Cheers to you. I will talk about Sonic, but since you brought up Parasite, try to see Parasite in theaters. It is a really good theatrical experience. I also understand it is on DVD and Blu-ray, and I think on demand or something. And I'm glad I didn't get into the real stuff because I forgot to put the charger in. Oh no, this is thrilling, isn't it? It's not really. Oh, the review of the John Waters, the Sonic one. I don't understand. I'm not doing the wine glass every time. This has got to be classy shit. But the Parasite, it's very available, but I recommend you see it in theaters just to support it. But I understand, again, like I'm saying about seeing movies, it's hard to have tons of money to go out and see it and so forth. So just see it any way you can. I'd much rather you see it than didn't see it. But it is in, I think, like 2,000 theaters this weekend because of the Best Picture win, which is amazing. It's awesome that it won Best Picture. All right. So, do I look okay? I feel like I look okay. I feel like you guys look magnificent, even though I can't see you, and that probably is a very empty compliment. But, because I can't see you, not because you don't. Okay, I'm going to walk away from that. All right, so, the Batman footage. Matt Reeves released footage of Robert Pattinson in the Batman suit. Oh, Niji, I hope you and your mom have a good time. Sorry. Robert Pattinson, let's backtrack. Matt Reeves released footage of Robert Pattinson in the Batman suit. It was kind of under a red tint to it. It looked cool. All you got to see was kind of like the logo on the suit, and it panned up, and you saw him in the suit itself. I noticed, I was making fun of people for this, but I just thought it like looked like kind of cool, kind of arty. What? I'm confused by that. Ransan Film said, I saw your How to Go to the Movies at AMC today. Is that like, you just saw the video or it was like on AMC? I'm confused by that description. But thank you for the super chat, Ransan Film. And thank you for everyone else's if I missed anything. But what I liked about that footage is it kind of was a little artier. It looked stranger. It was the kind of thing I want from Matt Reeves with Batman footage. And Pattinson looked cool. I did notice everyone was like, doesn't it remind you of Daredevil? And I thought that was kind of dumb because I was sort of like, well, like, just because it's red? Like, that's kind of lame. Like, I don't understand. I thought that was like a really stupid thing to say because Daredevil's sort of like Marvel's, one of his versions of Batman. So it's just a little confused by that. It was like, I was confused by like why, it's like it's red. I don't really get that. But I do think it looks cool. It looks stranger than we usually get from Batman. I think Batman only goes for like Nolan. I don't hate those movies. I'm not the biggest fan, to be honest with you. I think they're very Michael Mann-ish, so it's like kind of typical of that era. I think Matt Reeves, I'm really more excited to see a detective Batman movie. I'm sick of this action movie Batman thing. I really want, and I'm serious about this, a detective Batman movie like Mask of the Phantasm, like the animated series. That's what I want. I don't want any of these more action movies, and I think we really need that. And I think I really do think Matt Reeves and Pattinson could do that. I do feel like he could just do another action movie Batman. We might just get stuck with that for a while, but I would really, really love a detective Batman movie, and I'm hoping that's what this is. But it was just literally a camera test with a red tint to it. So it's really just me going like, here's what I want from Batman, which has like literally nothing to do with any of that. So it's like whatever. But it was just like kind of cool because one thing I liked about that I found interesting is in this era where streaming and we can watch video easier, when you look at what they did with the last Batman reveal, everyone made fun of it immediately, and no one is doing that. Because I think the video came off as really cool, and I think it shows Matt Reeves is going to give us a pretty impressive, different kind of Batman movie than we've seen before. That's very much what I got from this, at the very least, and I think that is very cool. Ransom Film says, the video, I'm sorry, the phrasing confused me. I'm sorry, Ransom Film. Thank you for watching that video. I think I don't know how well that holds up. I noticed people still watch it, but the how to go to the movies. But I think there's still some good things in there. Cheers to you. Nerdification brought up in the chat right now. The gun thing with the symbol is stupid and edgy. So the gun thing, I've noticed there's this whole theory which comes out of nowhere. Again, this is like we just got a little bit of footage and everyone's going crazy, which might have been why they did it. That the Batman emblem is made out of the gun that killed his parents. Where is anyone getting that? Matt Reeves didn't say that. Robert Pattinson didn't say that. Whoever wrote this thing didn't say that. Like, I don't... Very strange. But no, that is not official. But it looks gun-ish. I don't think we even really know what it is. But it's interesting how little he showed us, and we're just... I've spent... Probably there's things that people spent a lot more time on that I'm going to talk about less during this podcast. During this stream. It's not a podcast, but some people say it is. That is David Bowie of David Bowie playing cards. I normally put the reel here, but I notice people like the Bowie thing, so just let's leave it up. So, the Scoob trailer, which I think Niji Kichu told me about this. Yes, you did. Okay, you did. I have that written down here. I don't know why I said Niji Kichu told me about this, that they released a Scoob trailer with actual footage of Blue Falcon, with Mark Wahlberg being the voice of Blue Falcon. I've not seen this trailer anywhere but when it was posted on Twitter. I saw, obviously I saw Sonic. They had the trailer we've seen a million times from Scoob. I think we should release the Blue Falcon footage because establish it more. I'm a little worried about the Blue Falcon plotline in Scoob in general because it feels like they're really trying to open up the Hanna-Barbera world, and I'd much rather them make a good Scooby-Doo movie. But we'll see where that's going. But it is interesting. We finally got some of that from Scoob. What Blue Falcon will be like, what he'll sound like, which is the voice of Mark Wahlberg. But thank you, Niji Kiju, for letting me know about that. Because there wasn't really enough about it, and it's kind of like a major part of the movie. You'd think they would. Stranger Things Season 4 came out with a kind of teaser showing us, not a spoiler at all, that Hopper is indeed not dead. I know everyone knew this because anytime I'd say, like, Stranger Things Season 3 felt like... Blue Falcon did do the blue dab. Everyone keeps mentioning this. The Falcon dab. He did say that. That's true. But anytime I mentioned how I thought Season 3 of Stranger Things felt sort of like an end, like they could sort of end it there. And it was... I really like Season 3 a lot. They'd go, yeah, but Hopper's still alive. You can tell. Did you see the thing at the end and all this stuff? And I think everyone knew he was alive, but this is like further confirmation. It seemed to sort of... I thought it was sort of like, okay. I mean, I sort of knew it, but it seemed a lot of people liked the fact that they weren't trying to milk that is he alive or isn't. So I think it probably actually did a lot of good in terms of goodwill. We don't have a date of when Stranger Things Season 4 is coming out at all, but apparently they've just started production. This is just sort of announced that because that's the thing we do now, I guess. And it was just kind of like you see him, working in Russia. You see, he's like doing something with train tracks. Apparently he's going to fight supernatural creatures. They revealed that. They also mentioned that there's something that's been lurking underneath the entire time in Hawkins that is going to come for all of them or something like that, which sounded like mysterious, but it's very vague. But we'll see like how he comes back. I know there's been rumors about Stranger Things in the comic. They said that there's like a Russian version of what made 11, and maybe I think it would be interesting if maybe they do like a Rocky 4 and they have like a Russian guy who's really cute and has powers, and he falls in love with 11, and Finn Wolfhard or whatever has to compete with Russian superhero guy. I don't know, that'd be cool, but that's also probably stupid, why I don't write for Stranger Things 4. But it was a cool little mini teaser. Another teaser we got for HBO Max, which doesn't really sell originals as much, and a lot of people were commenting how HBO Max doesn't have a ton of great originals. And before you get mad at me in the chat, I don't agree with that because Close Enough is on there. And I'm excited for Close Enough, and I feel like there's probably other shows I'm forgetting. Oh, the Adventure Time the more Adventure Time stuff and the more Gumball stuff. In terms of animation, I think it's going to be really cool, but they're really selling their library, And that is important in terms of signing up for a streaming service. That's why no one wants to sign up for Apple Plus, because it has no library. And why Disney Plus has worked so well for like my family actually is because we know it's going to have all that library there for Sophie to watch. And I think that's why a lot of families, why Disney Plus will continue to do well, because that library is so good. And HBO Max is going to have a great library. They're showing classic films from like, I believe I don't think they showed Casablanca, but I feel like they did. They showed a lot of the Ghibli stuff. They showed Friends. They showed Wizard of Oz. They just like showed, Batman, Nolan Batman, of course. I think it'll be, it looks like a cool streaming service, but I noticed, people are not as hyped for that because they don't have like a big original that's going to attract people. To me, close enough is enough for me, so I'm excited for that. The Wes Anderson, I'm kind of just doing a lot of trailers at the beginning here. Oh, Niji Kichu, before I get to another thing. Good timing, Niji Kichu. Fun fact, Edgar Wright filmed Scott Pilgrim in the style of a musical, but instead of bursting out into song, they burst out into fighting instead. That is very true. That is a good fun fact. Thank you, Niji Kichu. Cheers to you. Thank you for the support, and thank you for the fun facts as usual. I love your fun facts. Thank you for that. All right. The French Dispatch trailer, which is the latest trailer from Wes Anderson. This has a cast of like everyone who's ever walked by an art theater who's an actor is in it. You have everyone from Elizabeth Moss to, I think Bill Murray's in it. Why isn't he? To lots. I seem to forget who all is in it, but it mainly stars Timothée Chalamet. I think. And it's like about this like French paper writing, travel kind of thing. It looks fun. It looks like a Wes Anderson thing. To me, it's like he doesn't like blow me away. I'm more like, sure, it's Wes Anderson. I'm going to see it. The one thing I really like about his modern movies is he found a way to release them outside of award season, have them do well, and still make an impact on award season. And I think he's really smart about it. He's one of those smarter financial art house or indie directors, because he understands how to get that to work for him, get people to actually see his movies and win awards, which I don't think anyone else is doing successfully. Someone mentioned Quibi and Reno 911. I believe I talked about that before. Jordan Bushard. I don't know which one. I apologize, but I have talked about it before. But sounds cool. I think not everyone's coming back. I forget. It's been a little bit since I talked about it. So, one of the other bigger things is Rick Moranis will come back for the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids reboot, which is called Shrunk. It is going to star Josh Gad as well as Rick Moranis. This is kind of a big deal since Rick Moranis did not and is not coming back. Thank you, Niji Kichu, for saying the thing about the questions. That's true. I will miss you in the chat. There is a dedicated part. Before, later. So anyway, yes, Rick Moranis is coming back to the big screen in Shrunk. He did not come back for Ghostbusters, but he is coming back for Shrunk, which will also star Josh Gad as his son. The basic plot of it, which a lot of people say is why he would come back to this, it is not just because that was his franchise, which is probably part of it, but the other part of it is that the plot of it is basically his wife, if you didn't know, died of cancer, and that's why he went back to take care of his children. Then the woman who played the mother in the original Honey, I Shrunk the Kids also died of cancer. What that has to do with, I'm not trying to just bum you out and how cancer will come for us all or something. It's more that Rick Moranis. The plot of this is basically like he tried to find a way to shrink down and take out his wife's cancer in the movie, the plot of Shrunk, and he couldn't, and so he decided to like constantly shrink himself down to sort of like deal with the fact that he couldn't figure out how to save his wife from death. And Josh Gad, who's playing I guess the nerdy son from the original, accidentally shrinks his kids down as well, like his father did before. So it'd be like, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, again or something. I don't know. They'll probably do it better than that. And then they'll find Rick Moranis is like kind of in there, and he has all these like shrunken gadgets and stuff. It sounds like he's basically going to be Han Solo in The Force Awakens, but in a Honey I Shrunk the Kids movie. That sounds cool. Also, he wasn't shrunk in the original, right? Or was he? I think he got shrunk at one point. Doesn't matter. He in this, that's basically what they're planning, and it sounds like something that's sort of like close to his heart and close to his own experience, which is probably why he did it. Also, the thing about Ghostbusters is no one wants to talk about, and I will because I don't care. Bill Murray's actually apparently very difficult to work with and not a lot of fun a lot of the times. And some people will just put up with it because he's Bill Murray, and like when he is fun, he's a lot of fun, but when he's difficult. And I've heard some people just don't really like to deal with that much. And that's why you see some people who return to movies with him constantly. You see other people who never do it again. And I think that might be why. That's like kind of an industry thing that nobody talks about as much, but he was not the easiest to work with. And I think maybe Rick Moranis was like, do I really want to deal with that for 2 days again? Do I want to come back that way? Or another thing that I thought about, and I think this actually makes a difference, is maybe Disney said, we'll give you like $2 million more if you don't do Ghostbusters and make this even, you know, kind of more special by this being a return. And maybe he was like, you know what, I don't really even have that much interest in Ghostbusters, and that fandom's super, there's all sorts of issues with that thing, so I'm just gonna like wait to do Honey I Shrunk the Kids, because unless like there's some message board I'm not aware of for Honey I Shrunk the Kids fans, that fandom's less toxic and controversial. So that might also be why. But I wouldn't be surprised if Disney had orchestrated it so he just shows up on that. It is going to come to theaters. It is originally, it was announced as Disney Plus thing. Apparently, specifically once they got Rick Moranis, they've officially said it's coming to theaters. So there was some like debate on that, but that is not a debate any longer. So the Oscars, I'm just going to talk about a few Oscar-y things that happened because I didn't know about them before. There's just one thing? Oh, I guess I didn't. Okay, no, it's two things. So, in Memoriam, this happens every year that someone is left out of the in Memoriam, but two of the people that I thought were not great, and I'm sure there's other people that you guys will remind me about in the chat, and you should if you know them, was Luke Perry and Sid Haig were not thanked in the In Memoriam segment. The Oscars apparently let the families of those people know that they were not, so it wasn't like a surprise. Also, they have to deal with weird social media crap or something like that. So, I'm a little surprised by Luke Perry because he's pretty big. He is more of a TV star. He was in things like The Fifth Element, and he was actually in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which makes it a little weird that they didn't include him. Sid Haig, I think it might actually be better for the brand, the future brand of Sid Haig, that he was not thanked. However, I also think the Oscars need to loosen the fuck up, and putting Sid Haig in there would have been something that they should have done. Also, was Oscar Bean in there, who had recently died? I talked about that. Oh, Carol Spinney. Are you serious? Wow. That legitimately upsets me. Also, Russie Taylor. Wow, that's this is a live reaction to that, because wow, that pisses me off. Holy crap, how could you not? Wow, not Big Bird. Okay, wow, fuck you guys. Seriously, what the okay, anyway. The kid from... Anyway. Kid... How can you not... Alright. They did do Richard Williams. That's true. Thank you, Nathaniel Fogle. Whoa, 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 microphone. Alright. That's upsetting. Like, how could you not do... Alright, I'm going to move on with... I don't like that. Alright. That, like, one of the most important puppeteers ever in like TV and film. Like, how could you? I just don't. That anyway. All right. It was. I will say about the In Memoriam segment, we lost so many legends in the past year. I've never been so bummed out during an In Memoriam segment, and I don't mean that by like the song sucked or something. It was like I was like it's like Jesus, like everybody. How did they not? Anyway, that sucks. All right, so the Visual Effects Society, or a lot of people in visual effects, were not really happy about what James Corden and Rebel Wilson did when they presented the visual effects category, kind of throwing the visual effects artists of Cats under the bus. That was not, as I was watching it, and I didn't think it was like solely offensive, but it was offensive in the fact that the Oscars continue this bit where they're like, who's the cinematographer? Is that the guy who brings me a Danish because I'm a movie star? Ha ha. They always like, one of the problems that the Oscars really have and they don't really address is they always do this thing like, what if we have some normie stupid people show up at the Oscars? What are they going to do? Ask for selfies because they're dumb. And it's like, why do they do that? It's just like it's like I do agree that they always fight to keep all the technical categories on the broadcast, which is really great of them because almost every other award show would be like, I don't care about sound editing, and they always defend it, and that's really great. But don't have this attitude like I'm better than these people, because I don't think that like helps cinema as an art form. I know it was James Corden's idea. Thank you, Ryan, for saying that. According to Entertainment Tonight, the whole bit was James Corden's idea. He was taking the piss out of Cats. I understand that, but I think I know several people, like visual effects artists on Twitter, talked about how joked about it. I retweeted one of those, and the Visual Effects Society, or I forget which association of visual effects artists, had problems with it as well, and they have every right to. And I don't think that was the smartest thing to do in the world, because a lot of people were like, hey, we work really hard, and it's more Tom Hooper's fault they came up with some weird-ass Cats movie than it does for, and it says for them. So they kind of were just following the lead, and it's more the people with egos' fault that the visual effects sucked, and less of the people who are working 80 hours a week, and they should have maybe phrased it a little better. But I understand James Corden and Rebel Wilson, who just got 2 Razzie acting nominations, as well as James Corden, who got 1, want to kind of like make fun of it as much as they can. I think it maybe didn't go over that well with people who actually worked on it, didn't find it funny, which is telling. All right, so also Parasite and Memories of a Murder, both films by Bong Joon-ho, are going to be on the Criterion Collection. They announced that, I think, like Tuesday or something. Good for them, because a Parasite Criterion will probably sell well. Unfortunately for them, it's already out on Blu-ray. But I still think that'll be an interesting release. So let's talk about 2 box office things. I don't talk about box office often because this show's on Saturdays. It's kind of a weird time to talk about it. But first off, Sonic is actually doing well. Sonic is a box office hit. It's going to be number 1. It made $21 million on Friday. It's looking to make almost $65 million over the 4-day holiday weekend. This is a great weekend to release a movie, because you have Valentine's Day on Friday, and then you have President's Day on Monday, which like some people get off for. Not a lot, but some people do. So whatever. I think a lot of the holidays, a lot or some schools are. I don't know what I'm talking about, getting all serious about President's Day, but hey, everyone in the chat, tell me what your favorite president is. I don't know. Why not? I don't know why I came up with that. That's a dumb one, I guess. Sorry. But Sonic made $21 million on Friday. It's looking to make about $65 million over the 4-day weekend. I think one of the things and why this film is doing so well is because, even though it had one of the worst, beginnings of publicity I've seen for a major movie in years, is because not only did it do a redesign, but it made a redesign that people liked, and it kind of won the fandom over during, that's a pretty hard thing to do, I gotta say, for any trailer, to a lot of FDR in the chat. Didn't expect that. It really, brought around, the fandom to be first they were like, fuck this movie, and then after a while people were like, hey, I actually, want this, I want to see this now. And that's pretty crazy. I haven't seen a lot of movies do that. I think this will probably be a a bigger hit than expected. I didn't get to check if it made more than Detective Pikachu, but it seems one of the things that really works for it, unlike Detective Pikachu, is everyone kept acting like Detective Pikachu was going to make $1 billion, and open at over $100 million, which I don't need to look at and tell you it did not. But the difference between that and like Sonic is everyone was like, man, I don't know what that's going to do. What's happening with that one? And because it was such a question mark, it actually made it more, made you want to seek it out more. And because everyone's expectations were like, will this do well? I think it actually worked. It really worked out for it in the end, because no one would have believed it would have made 65 over the 4-day weekend. So I think kind of having diminished expectations worked better for it than before. I also think, it's named Sonic the Hedgehog, not obscure video game Detective Pikachu wasn't the name brand. It's Pokemon, it's a live action Pokemon, but it's not, the name brand. You first have to go, what's Detective Pikachu? Why is this the first one? Like, there are too many questions involved. Sonic the Hedgehog, it's that. I still think the other thing with these video game movies, they actually have to recreate the video game as a movie, not put a video game character in the real world. I think people are sick of that. Oh, fun fact from Niji Kichu. Fun fact. Sony tried to pay. Okay. Here we go. Niji Kichu, fun fact. Sorry. Sony tried to pay Daniel Craig and the director of the James Bond film $5 million each for Bond to use a Sony phone. Both declined since Bond only uses the best. The studio did not accept the offer, though. Cheers. That's a good one, Niji Kichu. That's a good one. Thank you very much for the super chat. Cheers to you. That was cool. But that's funny. I like that one. But yeah, I think the interesting thing about Sonic is it's also that there's not a lot of family stuff coming out. It has a few weekends before Onward comes out, which that was really kind of its only major competition. Sorry, Call of the Wild. And I also think because people had such low expectations, like if they had high expectations, it's not a great movie or anything. But if everyone had high expectations, everyone would come into it and go, eh. But instead, everyone's expectations were so low and go, it's not total shit. Oh my god. So it's like totally working for it. This stream is sponsored by Zillow and Olive Garden. Oh my god, I wish. That never-ending pasta bowl. I actually haven't been to Olive Garden in like 20 years. So I just know they have that still. According to the Sonic movie. Thanks, Sonic movie. I know more about Olive Garden. And they only showed Zillow once, I think. But you guys are making me laugh tonight. Saturdays are actually a really long day for me, so you definitely get Goofy Gem on Saturdays. Alright. Okay, so in other box office news is Birds of Prey. Now, Birds of Prey came in below expectations, did make its budget back, like, through overseas and everything. It's not doing horribly. It's not doing amazing, but because it made like 33, everyone thought it'd make like 50 or something like that. And because of that, Warner Brothers changed its name on Monday on various different ticketing sites to Harley Quinn Birds of Prey instead of the Birds of Prey, the Fantabulous Emancipation, all that nonsense. I think when someone brings it up, I was a little like, why wouldn't you just name it Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey or something like that? Like, that would have made more sense when you really think about it. Like, Birds of Prey doesn't really have that big of a name. And it doesn't seem like if they made another movie that she's really part of the Birds of Prey. Spoilers, I guess. And I was that maybe that was a real spoiler. I don't know. But yeah, so if you hear that's interesting. Nijikichu actually said this isn't anyway, Nijikichu said I was confused because the radio ads called it Harley Quinn Birds of Prey. I guess they made new radio ads for it to do that. I also think it's interesting. People keep saying, like, if you compare its box office to Suicide Squad. Now, I don't understand that because this is not a sequel to Suicide Squad. It is sort of like if you, like, Ant-Man versus an Avengers movie. She's part of a team movie. This is a spin-off movie. It is by default always going to make less than Suicide Squad. There was no way it was going to match up. That would have been amazing. And the idea that it would is confusing to me because I never expected that. It's also like that's a movie that came out in the summer. This is a movie that comes out in February. There's box office is totally different at those times of day of year. Like, you know, and it could hold. If it holds and has good legs, which it looks like it sort of kind of is going to hold pretty well. It'll be fine. It's just I don't think there'll be another one. That's not going to happen. But it's not like Warner Brothers is kind of like, that didn't do as amazing as we hoped. But I don't think like Shazam we keep hearing about because it was a really good movie. I know it did really well on HBO and like people are checking out. I never don't hear people talk about it. I don't think you're going to see that with Birds of Prey. It was like maybe a little more interesting. I think certain people will like it. But its box office has like, people are like working overtime to over-explain it as a disaster. It's not a disaster. It kind of just like did below expectations. That's not a disaster. It's kind of just like they were like, hey, you know, the Joker thing worked, but the Harley Quinn thing didn't. Warner Brothers usually has a better marketing team. They've sort of been fucking up a lot lately, even though they did great with the marketing. Whether you like the Joker or not, they did a great job marketing that. I just think it didn't work out with this one. All right, so now to talk about The Hunt. Now, The Hunt was originally supposed to come out in September. Actually on, September? Sorry, for some reason didn't. On September... Wait, it's on my picture here. Let me check this out. September 27th, 2019. There we go. I'm sure people in the chat are like... I don't know. Wow, Birds of Prey better. Why not? But The Hunt, which was originally going to come out on September 27th, 2019, and then was delayed actually on August 10th. It was delayed indefinitely. We didn't even know when it was come out. Everyone thought it would show up on Peacock one day randomly or something like that. But they just this week announced that it's coming out on March 13th, Friday the 13th. And you know, I saw the new trailer and stuff. It's still like, look, I'd much rather watch a Purge movie. I don't need The Hunt. I know Lindelof's involved. I know, like, you know, the Betty Gilpin is involved, and maybe I will see it. I'm a little curious. I'm also sort of like, I think The Purge does this and is a little more interesting with it and gets far less press, which is not fair because I think the Purge movies, all the sequels, I didn't like the first one, have actually been pretty good. But I'm a little surprised, but oh, okay. That's Will. Hey, Will. How's it going? For those interested in The Hunt, I'd recommend Craig Zobel's, I probably said that name wrong, sorry, first outing compliance fun thriller. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you for some context. Cheers to you, Will. Thank you for the support. But I'm kind of curious about this film, but I feel like a lot of people, when I brought it up, who were more interested and vocal about it, who I know like personally and stuff, when it first came out, are like, I don't know. And I think it's like been a little too long. I mean, to really like drum up a lot of interest, maybe they should have done what The Interview did. But since it was becoming, you know, they were getting death threats and Trump was upset and all that stuff, they took it off. But I'm honestly not sure if I would see it or not. At first, on the first day, I was like, yeah, definitely. And then when I was like reading through, you know, putting the show together, I looked at it and I went, oh, I don't know. And I think like that's sort of, I know it's like really selling the controversy and it was like banned or whatever, and it's like, hey, more power to you guys. But I don't think that works as well as people think. Like The Interview, it sort of worked out for and got people talking and everyone saw that, but they'd do an unconventional route of release. I don't know if this will work for The Hunt, but we'll see. I you know, maybe I will see it. If you guys seem, I don't know, have interest in it, maybe I will, but I just don't really feel like that is going to happen. Alright, so this is sort of a rumor. Sorry, I gotta scroll down on the little scripty poo. I don't know why I called it that. That's kind of things I say when Sophie's around, so I'm not sure why I did that one. But, sorry. Alright, anyway. Mark Ruffalo, there's a rumor that he's going to be in the Parasite HBO show. No one, it's completely a rumor. Apparently it's very early days, and they're considering him and an actress who no one wanted to say. This is from Jeff Snyder, who has the Snyder Cut. He's fairly good at doing, him and various other reporters are good at picking out rumors. I've talked about his rumors before. In fact, one that's become an actual story from a rumor that I talked about earlier from him. He talked about how he had talked about the Parasite show. Apparently, they haven't been moving too much with it because award season was going on, and they haven't really had the time to. But supposedly, even though they don't even know who Mark Ruffalo is playing. But and there's been some debate if this would be in English or also in Korean. I don't think it would be. Even though a foreign film won Best Picture, I just don't see HBO spending that much money on something in a foreign language at this time, unfortunately. But them having Mark Ruffalo kind of points to that. We'll see who he's playing. He's the only cast member who's even been rumored, so we don't even know if the original cast is coming back. But a lot of people haven't said since this rumor came out that he could very much play a blue collar kind of dad very well, more so than I think most people could. So I think that definitely would work for him if he is announced for that. But the Parasite show we really don't know much about other than Adam McKay's involved and Bong Joon-ho's involved and HBO's doing it. That's literally the only official thing. The Mark Ruffalo thing is only rumored, and apparently he doesn't, no one wants to talk about it yet. It is really early. HBO is actually upset that this came out. So we'll see what happens. This could fall apart because it is really, really early. So we'll see about that. I'm curious what this show's going to be, as he says that one thing that Bong Joon-ho did say about the show during Oscar weekend is that if you watch the is a bit of I'll try to reveal very little about this. It's not really a spoiler, but when you see you know what, I don't want to spoil any of it, but there's a character who comes back and you see something's wrong with her face. And apparently there's a whole story with that, and there's other things that they just hint at that there'd be whole stories of that he has. So, I see the chat's come up with the Ruffalo thing. Ransam Film has to go. Thank you very much for being here, Ransam Film. Cheers to you. Thank you for being here, and as well as for your support. So, Taika Waititi, two pieces of news for him. He talked about Star Wars and how he's trying to find a story that he is interested in with Star Wars. We'll see if that happens. And he also insinuates that Akira will happen maybe a few years down the line. He's not sure if he will do it. Please do not make that movie. I don't want an Akira live-action remake. I think a TV show would be a good idea. HBO Max, do that. Based on the manga, you could do different things because the movie only covered certain things, and you could do a different thing. You could do a totally different show, and people would probably accept it more. But he also was announced he's making a Hollywood satire show called The Auteur with Jude Law. I'm assuming because it's called The Auteur, it's about a director post the Hollywood New Wave or New Hollywood of the 70s. We'll see what that is and what Jude Law is playing. I'm curious about that. I'm curious what that is, but yeah, Taika Waititi, because he won an Oscar, is just, announcing what he's kind of into, and obviously anyone who has a story on it is going to announce it because it means more traffic right now, obviously. So, before I get to the Master Universe cast announcement, I wanted to talk about how James Bobbin, the director of the first two Muppet reboot movies, The Muppets and The Muppets Most Wanted, as well as the director of Flight of the Conchords. He did an Alice in Wonderland sequel, which we don't talk about. Okay. Zane Power says, what about the Jojo Rabbit Hitler research news? I don't know if that's news. Cheers to you. Thank you for the super chat. I know that's an interesting one actually, because it sort of is news and isn't. It kind of blew up because it's Oscar time and any trivia is going to become a headline. I had heard him talk about that, but apparently he had said that he was going to do research on Hitler, but then realized Hitler sucks, and him portraying Hitler would be a big enough of an insult, so he sort of just made it up. I believe that's what he did. Which I thought was kind of funny. So I think that's what you're talking about, St. Powers. If not, correct me. But yeah, James Bobbin, who had also recently did the Dora the Explorer movie. I was going to get to that. I saw someone mention that. And did a good job. You should check out the Dora movie, especially if you grew up with Dora. But He's going to be directing the Clue movie. Previously, Jason Bateman was attached. He was going to direct, but he's a little too busy with Ozark to do that, so that's why they went to James Bobbin. Ryan Reynolds will be playing the character who dies and isn't in most of it, so cool. Will he have more screen time in this or in Detective Pikachu? Who knows? I'm assuming maybe not. But apparently they're assembling a cast. I think James Bobbin would be a great choice for a Clue remake. I quite think that'll be cool, and especially with Knives Out doing well, and the Perot, Kenneth Branagh movies and everything like that. Sounds cool. So the Masters of the Universe cast. Hold on. Niji Kichu's talking about the Matrix 4 shooting thing. I did retweet it. I did retweet that. It looks cool. I'm assuming they're doing something to do with what's going on with the Matrix. I'm curious what it is. But yeah, I know they're shooting. So, we'll see what's happened. Anyway, so here are some of the cast for the Master Universe Revelation. Now, this is not... They're two animated... So, it seems like the Master Universe news has completely been messed up by a lot of people. There is going to be a Master Universe live-action movie. That is going to happen on... I believe it's... that is going to happen... And I'm not sure if it's going to Netflix or not because Sony's being a little weird about it. But there's not a live-action show of Master Universe. There's the Kevin Smith one, which follows the original show. That's why if you look at the poster for Revelation, it looks like the Castle Grayskull of the original show is going to follow that up. Whereas the other one is more of a reboot. But they're going to have two at once. It's confusing. I don't know why they chose to do that. But Netflix has a lot of money, so they don't care. Neither is going to be in the universe of She-Ra, to my understanding. Maybe the other one. If you're going to do one, it'd probably be the other one. But this one sounds really cool. The voice cast includes, and I think the one everyone's most excited for, is the Mark Hamill as Skeletor. Is amazing casting, as well as Lena Headey from Game of Thrones is Evil Lynn, which I gotta say the villain casting sounds a lot better than the actual casting. He-Man is played by Chris Wood, who I don't know very well. Sarah Michelle Gellar will be playing Teela. Stephen Root is going to be Cringer, which sounds amazing. Henry Rollins will be Triclops. The original Skeletor will be in this, which is good because this is a follow-up. We'll be playing Moss Man. I'm glad he should just get to play Skeletor. No offense to Mark Hamill, but what the fuck? Jason Mewes is in this as Stinkor, which makes sense. Phil Lamar as Hero. Let's see. Kevin Conroy, which I think is the bigger one for most people, since this is Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill reuniting again, is Merman. Not sure why you got such a crappy part, but whatever. And Harley Quinn Smith, who is Kevin Smith's daughter, will be Lena. I would have Kevin Conroy be Man-at-Arms. Who's Man-at-Arms? I don't see it on here. Yeah, I don't see a Man-at-Arms. Am I missing that? I don't see it. Anyway, I think Kevin Conroy would... Oh, no, Man-at-Arms is Liam Cunningham. I would have gone with Kevin Conroy. I don't know what that guy sounds like, but there's very few people as cool as Kevin Conroy in my fucking book, so whatever. Sorry. I'm a little... but I think it'll be... It sounds cool. It's definitely playing more into stuff that I was into with He-Man because I used to watch He-Man as a kid. So it sounds cool. It sounds like a great voice cast to me. I'm excited for it. Kevin Smith is involved. But we'll see. It seems like this is going to come out before the kind of rebooted the other one. I think it's called like He-Man in the Master Universe, something like that. This is just called Master Universe Revelation. So we'll see what happens moving forward. And it sounds like the movie's probably going to go to Netflix, but nothing's been official. I haven't heard anything about that. So the Raid remake, before you get upset, is not happening. And the script for it is apparently been taken away from the studio who has the rights to remake the Raid, and they're going to just make that script into a totally different movie, which just sounds like a crappy action movie done by Joe Cornahan. Possibly Frank Grillo is going to be involved. Supposedly they have a big star involved. I love it when movie projects say that. Because what does that mean? That means nothing. They don't even say, like, a big male star, a big star from the MCU, a big star from the 70s. None of it. We don't know. But it's going to be like they were kind of like dancing around the fact that they have to go in the building and go after this guy. I'm like, whatever. This script sounded horrible as a Raid remake. I'm glad it's something else. It's going to be another thing. So that's fine to me. I'm fine that it's another thing. That sounds a lot more interesting than what it actually is, which I don't want a Raid remake. We don't need that. I would just much rather have, Dread to me was, the English language Raid movie, and it was a totally different thing. Man, I should watch Dread again. That movie's sick. All right, anyway. Man, and if you saw Dread in 3D, by the way, this is like a real side tangent, but like, who cares about the remake of the Raid? That's gonna suck. Even whatever they did with that. I mean, maybe that script will be good. Maybe it'll be good because it'll be like not a Raid remake. But seeing Dread in 3D was amazing. I would, if they ever do a screening of Dread in 3D, go see it. It's so good. All right. So there's going to be an Aladdin live action sequel. Previously, we'd heard they were developing this. And they have said that this sequel to the Will Smith Aladdin is not going to be a remake of Return of Jafar. They've said they're not doing that at all. This is a different take based on the original. I'm a little surprised since Disney Plus is like so pro, like, hey, we have these direct-to-video movies all on our streaming service. And you're like, yeah, nobody likes those. Why did you do that? But I'm surprised they're not remaking them. None of these sequels, like we talked about James Bobbin's Alice in Wonderland sequel, I talked about, we watched the Maleficent sequel. None of them did well. So I'm a little surprised they're going forward with this, but apparently they have a good take. There's enough of the Arabian Nights stories they could possibly do more of them and do more interesting things with that. I think that could, frankly, it could work in a way. Guy Ritchie, it seems to be no one's sure if he's coming back, which is confusing. Hollywood Reporter, I think, said that he was, and Variety said he wasn't, so who knows what's going on there. But apparently they are developing this, and if the cast wants to. I actually like the cast, like Aladdin and whoever played Jasmine, whose name I forget right now. But I don't know if Will Smith will come back. To me, it's like these sequels really haven't worked out. I wish they would just like leave us alone and just... I wish they wouldn't do the live-action remakes, but the sequels are even worse. I'm curious if they'll do the same thing with sorry, there's a cat in the way. What's going on with that? The Arabian Nights, or the 1001 Nights Arabian Nights thing. Apparently they're doing one of them. Apparently the Prince of the King of Thieves, the third Aladdin movie, is more based on that. So apparently it's something based on that. There's a lot of those tales they could do, but it wasn't good enough that I'd really want to deal with that. We'll see. But it is, Will Smith might come back because it did make $1 billion. It was kind of a return to form, box office wise, for him. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, and then I will talk about the Disney storyboard artist who quit and made a video about it and that whole thing. But anyway, I will be right back. I just have to go to the bathroom. Maybe I'll show Buster because he's really bugging me. Here is Buster. Buster, you're showing up a lot. Why are you showing up so much? What's up with that? You having a good night tonight? Okay, all right. I will be right back. I hope you enjoyed seeing Buster for a second. And yeah, just going to take a quick break, blow my nose because I'm a little stuffy for some reason. And yeah, be right back. Oh. Nope. Zoobity-boo. Okay. What's the chat been doing? Falcon dab? Fortnite dance. Thank you for saying that's a nice chair. I will mention my wife. We got chair compliments on the stream. Alright, so alright. Going to take a drink of water. I hope everyone's doing good tonight. Had a good weekend. Had a good Valentine's Day, or at least had a good Friday night. I think that's all anyone needs to do. So, now to talk about the what's Pingas? What is that? I don't understand. Anyway, so a former Disney storyboard artist explains. Hold on before we do that. Seriously, guys, we can't go? Why is Disney making a live action sequel when Aladdin 2019 grossed over $1 billion? We're all part of the problem. Will, cheers to you. That is a very good point. Whoa. You're right. And I have to say that is interesting. That is interesting because I do find the Aladdin thing odd because so many people thought it was like sort of going to be the end of Will Smith and then everybody saw it. So that's fair. I think a lot of people haven't really been really fighting the Disney remakes. Everyone just keeps seeing them. But then I don't think, I noticed when they come out on Disney Plus, like nobody watched The Lion, like none of them really went anywhere. So it seems like they're just box office plays, frankly. But you're right. We are part of the problem, Will. Thank you for reminding us of our faults, I guess. Anyway, thank you for the super chat. I like how many people are like, look up Pingas right now. Do you guys really want me to look up Pingas on my phone? Here, I'll look up. Is this like, am I going to get like my phone destroyed? Since everyone's like, look it up on your phone. I'll look it up on my phone. Hold on. Pingas? No, see, it keeps changing it to Pongas. Pingas meme. Oh, it's a meme. Is this... Alright, I want to make that my ringtone. Okay, is this what you wanted to see? Pingas? Alright, I don't know. You guys are wacky. Alright, there we go. You got me to see the Pingas, whatever that was. Alright, so, a former Disney storyboard artist, explains why she quit the industry in disgust and made this video. It was featured on Cartoon Brew, and I saw it shared quite a bit on the internet. So, when I first saw this, I was a little surprised because I was like, who in their right mind would release something like this when they want to work again? Because any employer, when they Google you, is definitely showing up with this shit. And that's totally going to suck. But I did watch it, and she has some legitimate concerns. A lot of it I recognized was sort of like dealing in the corporate environment and maybe not really liking to be that. She announces how she's starting her own business, and I'm assuming this video was a way to sort of give it a sort of jump start at the beginning. She has a YouTube channel, I believe, with her husband, which has like 3,000, doesn't have a lot of subscribers, so this video really bumped it up. I don't know what it was before. But then another artist who works for ILM, who does have a kind of a bigger YouTube following, Jean-Denis Haas, who works for ILM, kind of took her points and kind of showed that there is another way to them, that there are certain reasons certain executives give you certain notes. There's certain reasons things happen that way, that not every studio is great to work for. He likes working for ILM, whereas she didn't like for working for, I think it was Disney Television. So it was sort of an interesting back and forth. I'm sort of more on his camp, because I will say when you're younger and you hear like an executive told you something, or a manager or something like that, your instant reaction is to say like, yo, fuck them. And that is a bad reaction, because you should not do that. Not because it's rude. Well, it is rude, and you shouldn't be rude. But it's also because a lot of times these people are professionals and have a certain insight, and it's interesting to think of that. And oftentimes when I've had to deal with people like that, this is sort of a professional thing to tell you. is I've actually gone from those meetings and rethought about the things, even the things that I was hesitant towards when I was meeting with them. I will think about, and I will like write down and think about the ideas of that. Now, not everything someone tells you like that you need to do automatically or consider. You should, if you have a working relationship with them, try to be a little flexible. But there's certain times where, like, in the room, I'm not against it, and then like a couple hours later, I'm like, wait, I see what they're saying. That's so smart. So I would say just like don't have the blinders on. And I think certain people, when you're an artist, the problem is when you developed your craft, you developed it by yourself, and then going from working with that to other people is sometimes a difficult transition. Not everyone likes it. I hope her and her husband the best with being independent artists. It's hard making stuff by yourself. I can tell you, it's not an easy. It's not an easy thing to do, and running your own business and trying to make everything work and all that stuff time wise is not easy. I think she'll find that, like, he brings up like the problem with working from home, and I have definitely done this. If like everyone's out of town and I'm working, I will work from like when you wake up till when you go to sleep, because you're just so determined, and sometimes that can give you a bigger burnout than working 40 hours a week. It does feel more rewarding though. So I think there's a lot of things that she'll find. It just feels like she's a little naive, but also not in the greatest situation. But I recommend, if you are interested in the animation industry, I actually recommend watch both videos. Cartoon Brew posts both of them. One is by Janet Chan, and the other is Jean-Denise Haas. Those are fairly available if you want to check them out. But I recommend watching both because it gives you both sides, and I think they both have legitimate things to say. I'm not trying to say like he totally like takes her down or something, but he's bringing up that like you should consider it, but also like they might say something that's stupid too, and he brings that up. So anyway, they're an interesting pair to watch. You should watch it. Zix the Pest. That's interesting. I didn't know you went to NYU, and that is a good point. I'm going to read this because it's a good one. Zix the Pest said, when I went to NYU, all my professors were very clear that filmmaking is still a job and you shouldn't get starry-eyed. That is true. You guys really want me to dab? Why do people want people to dab? I don't understand this. If there's like the next super chat, I'll dab instead of drinking a Red Bull. If you guys are really into this, I guess. I don't know. All right, so there were 2 trailers with Dev Patel. The really cool one from Wait a minute. Well, anyway, the lesser one was I had it somewhere and it deleted it. No, whatever. Tab like a man. David Lowery. That's it. The cooler one that Dev Patel put out to the personal host of the personal history of David Copperfield looked fine. I was kind of into that. But please don't. I like the people who say please don't. Thank you. But the Green Knight trailer looked really cool from David Lowery. I'm excited for that. That looks really neat. I'm also like, I think Dev Patel picks things are a little too like typical and stuff, and like awardsy and like things like your mom would like, and I want him to do something different, and I'm excited for the Green Knight. And I like David Lowery in general. I think that looks really cool. I think that's an A24, and I've seen Ain't Them Body Saints and Pete's Dragon. I didn't see Ghost Story. I don't know if he did anything else, but I think he's generally a good director. Anyway, so there's going to be a film, a World War II movie, that is going to be in the vertical formats. Yes, for real. The director of Wanted, Tubar Bernkenbrutadorf or whatever, he apparently invented the screen life technology, where basically like Unfriended or Searching, which is a better example, where you see the whole movie presented to you from computer screens and things like that. He is the one who came up with that, I guess. And Searching is really good. The Unfriended, not as good. And Unfriended 2, even worse. But since he came up with that, he's going to try to make a film in the vertical aspect ratio. And he originally made this for his phone, but is actually going to be released in theaters. Yep, for real. It is going to be released in theaters. And supposedly definitely in Russia, and in the vertical format. This is a World War II movie. A lot of people are saying, like, I don't know how that'll work because World War II you don't really think of World War II with vertical video. Why isn't this a more modern thing? But it is something that he's thinking about. I get it if it was like on a phone, but like I don't know if I'd really want to watch vertical video in the theater. And apparently it has a release in Russia. It doesn't have a release in America. It sounds horrible. I like the screen things, but I've always wanted to watch the screen live things on a computer, and I never have. And I thought about that with the first Unfriended, but I didn't like it that much. And people get really weird about the first Unfriended. They like really go through, like pick it apart. Didn't like your movie sucks do that? I think that's like a little ridiculous, frankly. It's just like a silly genre film. Whatever. Searching is like actually pretty good. It's more like, a beach read or something like that. But I thought it was I like Searching. I think most people like Searching. So Searching is about. I need to just watch Searching in that. All right, so let's talk about. There's a couple TV movie related things, and they're kind of interesting. So first off, there's a Goonies TV pilot, and it's not the Goonies being made into a TV show. It's a TV show about kids remaking Goonies shot by shot, scene by scene, much like what happened with the Raiders of the Lost Ark sort of remake, where these kids took 20 years to make Raiders of the Lost Ark, every scene shot by shot. And that sounded cool. Niji Kichu unfriended 3 blocked on Twitter. That's nice. I didn't see the documentary, but I always wanted to, about the Raiders of the Lost Ark remake. But in this Goonies show, basically, this teacher will help these kids try to completely remake Goonies. But I was like, how is that a show? Like, I get that as a movie, like taking the idea of what they did with Raiders of the Lost Ark and making it with Goonies in a movie, but I do not know how that works as a show. That does not sound like something. I'm like a mini-series or a season or a 12-episode. I'm sort of with you, but like an ongoing series, I don't think so. But it sounds sort of interesting. I will say that does sound an interesting idea. I just don't think it plays well for TV. There's going to be a Mighty Ducks series. This is going to be for Disney Plus. Emilio Estevez is back. And as well as Lauren Graham, who plays the mother of a kid who gets kicked out of the Mighty Ducks, is apparently sort of, people are comparing it to Cobra Kai, in which the team that was originally the underdogs have now become the kind of establishment bad guys. And then there's a new, underdog kind of thing fighting against the previous underdogs, which I think is interesting. We'll see how they're going to do that exactly, because Disney's not kind of cool about stuff like that, but it sounds like at least interesting enough. I'm not the biggest Mighty Ducks fan, but I'm glad Emilio Estevez is making some money. And this one, Ryan Walcherson reminded me of this. I had heard of it, but I kept forgetting to write it down. I'm glad he did, because it made me realize a few things about it. Josh Peck is going to be in a Turner and Hooch series of 12. It's been picked up for 12 episodes of Turner and Hooch, which is weird because at first I kept saying Turner and Hooch reboot. I seem to not read that it was a series. I thought it was just like a movie on Disney Plus. But it's going to be presented by the creator of Burn Notice. So I'm a little curious. It seems like a weird amalgamation of stuff in this one, I gotta say. I'm a little curious about that one, how that's all going to work. Because that just seems weird. I mean, I like Drake and Josh. Don't get me wrong, but it just seems a little strange. All right, so Indiana Jones 5, according to Harrison Ford, because he's doing the press tour for Call of the Wild, which I don't think I'll get to see actually. I'll talk about that at the end. Indiana Jones 5 is starting. He says it's going to start shooting this summer. Spielberg is directing. I don't know. I'm not that excited, but apparently he says it's going to happen. So we'll see about that. In the continuing story of Friday the 13th and the rights, the original writer Victor Miller is kind of going through a lawsuit with Sean Cunningham, and apparently the kind of news in that because of Victor Miller's union membership at the time, even though he wrote it not for work for hire, he wrote it independently, but because Sean Cunningham was paying the union and Victor Miller was in that union, and part of the things about work for hire is you're paying for like benefits and health insurance, and think technically over some real technicality, Sean Cunningham is really trying to fight to get these Friday the 13th rights back. Victor Miller was work for hire because he's in a union which Sean Cunningham participated in, so therefore it's work for... It's not. He's really stretching it, but it sounds like Victor Miller's going to get the rights to Friday the 13th back. That's why we have a Friday the 13th movie. But it's in this kind of weird legal loophole right now. I'm really curious how this is all going to work out with this copyright thing that I talked about in previous movie craps ago. These things are all in a weird place. So we'll see where it goes from there. I did hear the new Billie Eilish Bond theme, which is also called No Time to Die, much like the title of the movie. It sounded kind of average to me. I'm not a big fan of most of the Bond themes. I think of the Daniel Craig era, Skyfall was the best, and the rest are kind of like, it's not as bad as the Sam Simon one, which sounded like music they play in the dentist's office, and I don't even think good music they play in the dentist's office. Like, definitely in the waiting room, not in the actual dentist's office. You know what I mean? There's a hierarchy there, and Sam Smith is not good. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Everyone goes like, what about the Tom Petty thing? I don't care. That guy sucks. Like, none of his songs are good. Like, they're all awful. Did he win an Oscar for that song? God, that is an awful song. Ugh. Anyway, the Billie Eilish song is fine. I'm sure in the movie it'll be great. Whatever. It's just like nothing I'm going to listen to ever again. Like, I mean, or the Chris Cornell song is pretty bad. Most of these songs are bad. Like, just like Live and Let Die, the Duran Duran song. Are there other good Bond songs? I think that's it. Tina Turner's was pretty cool. Yeah, most of them are garbage. Anyway, yeah, Sam Smith. Like, what an awful, like, ugh. People like that? Like, what's going on? Oh, someone said Chris Cornell's song was great, and I just shit on it. All right, I'm sorry, Bruce Parker. With World War I being a lot cooler than it used to be, they're apparently going to do a remake of, or another version of All Quiet on the Western Front. This is a movie from the early 30s that actually won Best Picture, unlike 1917. Oh, burn! And director Edward Berger and star Daniel Bruhl are attached. I don't think that's like a terrible thing since it hasn't really been remade in a while. I don't think I didn't look up how many times it's been remade. But we'll see about that one. It's interesting that World War I movies seem to be a thing. This was kind of interesting. I don't know. This probably doesn't appeal to most people who watch my stuff. But there's going to be sort of an Nsync movie. It sounds very reminiscent of the Robert Zemeckis film I Want to Hold Your Hand, in which it has two fans who follow around Nsync on their final tour in a mobile home after one of them won a lot of money on a game show. And kind of like their summer following around Nsync. It sounds like a cool idea. Since I had been done with the Beatles previous, I think when I saw that movie, I did think, like, why don't you do that with more bands? You could do that again with I don't know, Bieber or, whomever. It's a cool idea what Robert Zemeckis did. If this does actually get made, apparently Lance Bass is producing. He already thinks it could be a Broadway musical. It's like, I hate it when producers, it's like, you can, like, think those things, but, like, in general, like, if you're working on a project, I'm just going to tell everyone this right now. If you're working on a project and there's, like, it's not really done, don't talk about, like, step 7 and 8 yet. Like, just shut up. Like, in general, that's not cool. It does not make you look cool. It makes you look like you can't shut up. Like, just don't do that. That's the general. I wish Tupac had a Bond song. That would be amazing. Oh my god, I wish. Alright, so in probably no news that anyone's talking about, but since I'm a Mystery Science Theater fan and I'm on some pretty cool Facebook groups, so, like, according to one of the Mystery Science Theater, I forget, it might have been Deep House of Deep 13, I'm not sure which one. To the tour stop in Reno, Joel commented that we would hear more about new episodes after the tour is over, which makes me think there could possibly be more Mystery Science Theater episodes. Obviously, so many of the members are touring and doing shows, and I talked about how the newer cast did a show together recently. We'll see what's going on with that, but apparently he is going to make some sort of a statement after the tour. I assumed he would, but we'll see about that. But so if you're wondering, is Mystery Science Theater completely over? It might not be as over as we think, but since most reporters are not following those Mystery Science Theater groups, because they're not a true fan like this guy, I don't know, sorry. They didn't know that. So you guys know that he's at least talked on tour about that there's a possibility of more new episodes coming out soon. So I talked about this as a Jeff Snyder rumor before, but a David O. Russell movie that originally was going to have J-Law involved, that was, it may be called Amsterdam, is no longer going to involve her. It now has Margot Robbie in the role that she was originally considered for. Apparently Michael B. Jordan and David O. Russell really want to work together. He's involved, as well as Christian Bale. No one's sure what this movie is exactly, and if it is really going to be called Amsterdam, but they have sort of casted it up. Since David Russell hasn't made a film since Joy, during his kind of J-Law era. I'm very curious what's going to happen to her and what her next career step is, because I actually really like Jennifer Lawrence, and I kind of wish she had a hit again. I think, I don't think she knows what to do at this point, but that's true. Ryan Walterson says, to be fair, you have to have a very high IQ to understand Mystery Science Theater. I've also heard that about everyone who watches my live streams, who has incredibly high IQs. They're like some of the smartest people. I actually did market research, and the market research person was like, I'm too stupid to even understand these people. And I was like, that's exactly right, because everyone who watches me is a fucking genius. And I'm sorry, that was too far. But there's going to be the new David O. Russell movie. I'm not the biggest fan of his newer stuff, but we'll see. I love Michael B. Jordan, so I'm down for that. I don't know if I talked about the Vast of Night trailer, and I should have, because Will sent it to me, and it sounds really awesome. The trailer was really awesome, but please check out the Vast of Night trailer. I'm really excited to check that out. I've heard some people saw it and didn't like it as much. I've heard that from various sources. But I want to see it. It looks really cool. It looks very Spielberg. Sorry, Disco Spider's comment, I'm a dumb, was funny. But the Vast of Night trailer, I forget if I talked about it on another stream, but it is a really, really cool trailer. Check out the Vast of Night trailer. I think it's coming on streaming in May. Will, if you know the date, if that got announced, please let us know if you're still watching. And yes, I think I'm excited for that, but I realize I didn't talk about that. I feel like I didn't. Maybe I did. Anyway, it's a cool trailer. I'm excited for it. So, that is all the news. I'm going to do a segment, a lost film file. I wanted to clear up something about these segments. Also, so I do not have a card when I switch from news to segments. I, at some point, would like to do a big rebranding, which I never have time for. But if anyone wants to do a drawing, and I will totally credit you, I can't really pay you at all, really. But maybe we can work something out. But if anyone wants to come up with a picture for the segments part, send me the picture. I'm not guaranteeing I'll use it or what we'll do with it or whatever. But if you send it and make it, if not, I will at least, you can tweet it, whatever. We'll work something out. But if anyone has an idea, let me know. Thank you, Will. Will has said that May 29th is the release date for Vast of Night. Thank you very much. All right, so, but as well as this segment, kind of what I've been doing, because there's not a lot of movie news to do, and there's not things to really review as much that are like smaller like this. Obviously, there's other things to review. I thought I would do lost film files that are kind of like smaller, quicker things that like, I could do on here and things I've always wanted to do. So, like I did the Peppa Pig one and the one I'm going to do right now. So, I'm going to drink some water and then I will talk about this. I've previously reviewed literally and actually every John Waters movie there ever is, but I've never done one about this one. Even the early shorts, which no one has. No, I don't think anyone has a review of on YouTube except for me. Unless someone has, I don't like search that every day like a crazy person. All right, so this is a lost. Today I'm going to talk about a kind of lost or abandoned film of John Waters called Dorothy, the Kansas City Pothead. It is a real movie. IMDb has a listing of it from 1968. This is very early in his filmography, before all the movies, Mondo Trasho and Multiple Maniacs and all that stuff. It was basically... before we get to that... Will, thank you. I meant to... that didn't get in there. When you sent it, things were a little crazy. Thank you for saying something about this. Before I talk about the Lost Film File, thank you for bringing this up, Will, because I'm a big fan of this director. Shout out to the long-awaited return of James Warrett Beerkit, I think, Brykit, being produced by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead from Resolution, which is film the movie review. I don't know why I left it at that. Sounds super sick. You were right. That does sound pretty sick. You should check out. I'm obviously did a review of Coherence, which I'm a huge fan of that. That's one of my favorite films the last decade. I know he's had a lot of projects in development that didn't get made, so I'm excited. I hope this one goes forward. And I didn't know Will brought up that he did storyboards for Baby Driver. So anyway, cheers to you. Thank you very much for that, Will. I'm sorry I forgot about that. All right, back to John Waters. So, also, Ryan, I actually have reviewed that John Waters Simpsons when I was doing my John Waters series. So, in 1968, John Waters decided to make, so Dorothy, the Kansas City Pothead. This was the only John Waters project to ever be abandoned. He shot 2 days on it, and, Dorothy, the Kansas City Pothead was basically John Waters' attempt at making kind of a Wizard of Oz movie, or Wizard of Oz Gone to Pot. The Wizard of Oz is pretty surreal, so to me this doesn't sound like the greatest idea anyway, but he tried to make it and actually did about 2 days shooting it, and was going to have Pat Moran was going to play Dorothy. Pat Moran was going to play Dorothy. Pat Moran is a big casting agent now, won an Emmy for Veep, also was a casting agent on most Baltimore productions from The Wire to Homicide. George Figs played Grassman, who I'm assuming was the Scarecrow, and that's what it looks from the footage we have of this. And then Malcolm Soul, I guess, was going to play the Wicked Witch. There is no footage of her playing the Wicked Witch, but they said they shot for 2 days, and the footage we have looks like it was just from 1 day, so I'm not exactly sure if there's more footage that was lost. You kind of insinuate that because they have a third cast member listed and in all the descriptions, and there's no footage of her. She's an interesting figure in that she was an original star of John Waters' early work, the first couple. She wasn't in that much stuff. She was kind of in the real early stuff, and she was kind of the star before Divine. She was in Eat Your Makeup and Roman Candles, and never made it to the feature. She actually died of a drug overdose in Baltimore in 1968, so she didn't live much past this, unfortunately, and she really didn't get to... These films just played in like the basement of churches and things like that, from what I've heard from people who lived in Baltimore at the time. So she was as well known as you could be from that, although he was pretty well known, and this was even headlined in the Baltimore Sun. He even drew up publicity for it, even though this kind of was falling apart while he was making it. He still did the publicity, and the Baltimore Sun had the headline, The Wizard of Oz Goes to Pot. He said the reporter never suspected that there wasn't even film in his camera when he covered the making of the film. There's a photo of him like shooting the film and stuff like that. The Baltimore Sun doesn't really cover, as I grew up in Baltimore and know that paper, as I grew up in Baltimore and know that paper, they don't really cover the art scene as much as they used to. But at that time, John Waters was a little infamous in the paper for his films and like various troubles he'd get in while shooting his films. But he realized this wouldn't work because he's trying to do like sync sound from a tape recorder and film, and it was near impossible to make. But it's sort of an interesting project in that, like, I've seen Eat Your Makeup and Roman Candles and Hag in a Black Leather Jacket and things like that. But there's only about 2 minutes of footage. You can find it on YouTube. When this is later cut up, you will see that footage on it there. And it was featured in the documentary Divine Trash, and he talks about how it's his only really kind of like abandoned project. It's kind of an interesting idea, and much like I think the Diane Linkletter story, which is another short, which I also have reviewed, it kind of takes on a more salacious idea or kind of a celebrity-driven idea and makes it into something to kind of like ignite, passions and controversy and things like that. I think the fault in this is like you can't make the Wizard of Oz more on drugs. It's like a pretty weird, surreal movie. You can't like be like, it goes to pot. I'm like, you can already smoke pot during that movie and it'd be weird. It's already kind of there. So I think that kind of like, I don't think it was the greatest idea. It's kind of interesting to see the footage and see like maybe what could have been, and it's actually in color. Most of these early shorts are not in color, so it's kind of a different sort of thing. And the idea that he had his friends in weird costumes and stuff. I would like to see Malcolm Soul in the Wicked Witch of the West costume. I couldn't find anything of that, and I couldn't find much other footage other than the footage you've seen in Divine Trash and the footage that's on YouTube, which I'm assuming was a special feature on the Divine Trash DVD or something like that. But this is kind of John Waters' only really like lost or abandoned project. I think it was probably like for the best it wasn't. He famously has John Waters famously has a great quote about Wizard of Oz where he never understood why Dorothy would leave Oz. He always thought like, Oz is so amazing and fantastic. Like, wouldn't you, after you left Oz, wouldn't you, like, why would you want to leave Oz to go back to Kansas? Like, that seems so boring, which is a great quote. But it's kind of sad that this was abandoned. Divine wasn't involved in this at all. Divine's not really involved in the early shorts till later. And it is sad we don't get to see, like, one of his early stars who's pretty much forgotten and not really thought of with him in this. There's no footage of her at all, which is also kind of sad about this. But I hope at one time we get her as the Wicked Witch of the West footage. I hope we get more of this footage just to sort of see what it was, but I don't think it should ever be like brought up or anything like that. Someone made a Criterion-esque kind of like cover for it, which is a little cute. It's a bit of a joke. But other than that, I think it's probably best that this stays lost and abandoned, and I think Waters probably would like it that way. I do actually recognize the park in it. I forget which park, but I've definitely been in that park before growing up in Baltimore. But I think it's all for the best that this is lost and abandoned, and we'll never see what John Waters' Wizard of Oz would be. But I think a Wizard of Oz at this time in his filmmaking career probably wouldn't even be that great. And are you really ever going to be more surreal than the real thing? Okay, I think I did everything for that. Did I do that? Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I've done a lot of John Waters videos. I thought that'd be cool. I don't know if you guys are into that. Apologies if you are not. Anyway, so this is the part. I don't have any Patreon questions this time. So any question you want, and then we'll get out of here. While you guys are loading up on questions on here, I want to talk about, just to give you some time to think of one or something. If you check out my Twitter thread of basically I started off a tweet about how, I'm paraphrasing it, but it's basically that there's going to be a couple who their first date is going to be the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and then they'll be together for 50 years or something like that. And I kind of went through their whole relationship. I realized when I tweeted the end of it, when I went through my drafts, that I had forgotten a tweet of it. And so I think it gets a little weird. Like there's one where the girl's water breaks when she sees Sonic 3 and stuff. I'm actually pretty proud of that. So anyway, check that out if you want to, because I don't know. All right, so Zane Powers, I believe, is the first question. How much lore and backstory made for game series these days? Why can't we get a video game movie that's a new story in the world instead of just reciting the main story of a game? I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I don't think everyone says video game or the gaming audience is niche. I don't agree with that. It's a pretty big audience, but I think they still want to get people who are not necessarily into gaming into their movie, much like how people watch Avengers movies, have never read a comic, things like that. And I think that's what they're trying to do, much like, you want the Sonic movie or the Mario movie to have the origin of those characters or things like that. That's just that's the traditional way they tell stories. I could see them doing something like that for streaming services, but I just don't see Hollywood in terms of how it writes stories and comes about these things ever really doing that. But it is a good question. Why don't they do that? Should they do that? Probably. I just want them to make a good movie, St. Powers. I don't care how they do it. But that is a good question. Thank you very much for that, St. Powers. Jacob's Shelter. How do you feel about Nolan's Rocket Power video getting a copyright claimed? I believe I said it was bogus on Twitter, and not very, shoobies or whatever. I think that's lame. I think he should fight that. That sucks. I'm sorry about that, Nolan. M Blood TS, are those sirens? Well, there are cops out there doing something. I don't know. Maybe they're stopping me from talking about an obscure John Waters short that got abandoned. Thank you, Courtney. I will probably do more Lost Film Files that are like just short things. I don't have another one coming up, but sometimes there's ideas I've always wanted to just make a video about, and I'm kind of trying to do more of that. I don't even know what I'm going to review next time, but Ace the Wind Rider, best dad in TV or movies. I don't know what the best dad is. Probably John Goodman. Actually, John Goodman on Roseanne. He was pretty perfect. If you've seen Kim's Convenience, the Opa on that, I like Kim. By the way, Kim's Convenience, great show on Netflix. I really like Kim's Convenience. It's really cool. Okay. Nathaniel Fogel question: got any funny Valentine's Day stories? I think I said a funny one about what my wife and I did for Valentine's Day. So not repeat myself, just go to my Twitter. But I actually had an ex-girlfriend give me back all my stuff on Valentine's Day, and I literally, while she was handing it to me, I went, could you have not waited till tomorrow? And she was like, no, I just want to get rid of him. Like, you don't understand. And like, okay, cool. It was like you could. I was 15. I was a little like I'm 15. I'm definitely gonna read this as metaphorical. Thank you. So I guess that's one. Not plausible. What is your ranking of all the Channel Awesome movies? I haven't seen them all. I think I might review another one for the kind of Rent. When Nolan and I do the back and forth thing. I think I'm going to try to do one this year. That's what I'm hoping. Courtney, question: does part of your affinity for John Waters come from the fact that you're both from Baltimore? You are very right about that. Sorry. You're very right about that. If you're a filmmaking kid who comes from Baltimore, you're into John Waters. It is just a fact. It's mostly because he's so different. And the idea that him and his dumb friends made a movie that not only were it's so disgusting that everyone would talk about how they couldn't not throw up during Pink Flamingos, but at the same time he's accepted by all the parents as a great artist and influenced the town and, did great things as known throughout the world. That's really inspiring as a kid. And I think if you're making films and you see this guy who's John Waters is 100% an original, you 100% know who he is. He's very distinctive. He's an auteur. And to see someone like that come from where you come from is so inspiring because you realize holy shit, he helped make his own mark his own way and made the identity of the city. He did so much with these weird cult movies that inspires you to make your own distinct style. I'm very happy. Most Chris LaMartina, who I don't know that well, who did WNUF Halloween special, but I could message him on Facebook, I guess. But I know he's inspired. Matt Berry, who I work with a lot, is really inspired by that. There's so many different filmmakers from Baltimore who are inspired by him, and I think outside of Baltimore, he's more of a more gay filmmaking icon and independent filmmaking icon. But in Baltimore, he is. If you make movies, you are inspired by John Waters because of everything he represents to that city and everything he represents. Because he is cool. He'll show up to small photo shows, show up to art shows. He really understands the importance he has, and I think he's done a lot of good with that. I think that was a long way to answer that question, Courtney, but thank you for asking it. Niji Kishu, question: what will happen to the Space Jam sequel now that Kobe is gone? That's an interesting one. I don't know how much a role Kobe was going to have in it. To my understanding, it was more LeBron. I don't know if he had filmed. I have not heard about him filming anything or anything from Space Jam 2 being filmed. I don't know if they were going to have a joke, or I'm assuming something will probably have to be changed. I'm curious what that will be. That's an interesting one. I think, how about we save that one for later in a lot of ways, because I'm curious if there'll be a future Nijikichu fun fact or future thing I'm reporting on later that came from that. But that is something to think about. That is a good one. Nijikichu gets you thinking, I gotta say. Baseline 677. What are some of your favorite artists or bands? I would say Houdini is a big one. I got pretty into Afrika Bambaataa lately. I know he's problematic for various things that happened more recently. I try to sort of ignore that, but Looking for a Perfect Beat is a pretty perfect track. I listened to a lot of Robin recently. We always have Bowie on. I have Curtis Mayfield's Superfly on. I listen to like a lot of obviously like rap and funk and R&B and stuff like that. So I'd say Nirvana used to be a big favorite. The first Wu-Tang Clan album, Nas's Illmatic, is a perfect record. Outkast, I'd say like Outkast, Nirvana, Nine Inch Nails, Daft Punk. I think Gorillaz, obviously. I think I got them all. Okay, Ryan Walterson. Worst bits of product placement in cinema history. I guess the Man of Steel, like when they fought in an IHOP, that was pretty stupid. I think those are it. I would say Man of Steel. I'm just going to say Man of Steel. I think that's the worst. Maybe, actually, you know what? It's not in a film, in cinema history, but in Stranger Things Season 3, where he's like, goes to the New Coke thing. That was too far. The kid's like, what do you think of New Coke? Or whatever. It was really damn lame. Zane Powers, when are you going to join that thing we talked about? Oh. Sorry, I've been a little busy. I will try to. I think I'll take care of that this week. Message me later. I know what you're talking about. I was gonna. It's been a crazy week. I apologize. I'm a little busy, as like for always. But I will deal with that on Monday night probably. Disco Spike. You guys will know about that next week. Trust me. I'm sorry to Zane Powers. That's bullshit of me. Disco Spider. What are some indie animated films that are in major need of a Blu-ray release? Most of them get Blu-ray releases, but did Primal get one? If not, it does. Same with Korgoth, which I think just got a DVD release. It might have gotten a Blu-ray, but I don't think so. I think that would be it. Most of them get a Blu-ray release. I can't think of too many others. I'm sure Will's going to answer that question lower down in the chat. I'm going to tell you that right now. And he'll do a good job with it. I wasn't trying to make fun of him, by the way. M. Blood T. Which cartoon character would be great in a live-action movie? Example, Mr. Krabs would definitely fit in a Scorsese film. Okay, or movie. Bugs Bunny, I would say, just because he's so charismatic. Maybe Donald Duck. I think Coyote and Roadrunner, even though that goes so much into animation, but it's more like classic kind of silent comedy, frankly. Bruce Parker asks, whatever happened to the Olsen twins? Do they even make anything anymore? Also, Dab, no. And I think they just make fashion or something. I never really cared about them because they never were like good in anything. I mean, like Full House, but I wouldn't say that's like acting. But I think their sister sort of took care of that one, Oh man, I lost my place there. Hold on. Wow, there's a lot of questions. A question from no, hold on. Okay. Jordan Solofalo, what are some of your favorite classic literature movie adaptations? I like Little Women. I like The Great Expectations by David Lean. I'm going to go with that one. Yes, that's a good one. As well as, Clueless, because that's Emma. Jacob Shelter, how would Joaquin Phoenix play Hook if Disney got a chance? I think he'd be interesting, but I'm curious if that Peter Pan thing's going to happen, because I haven't heard much about it happening, but we'll see. What would you do if you were abducted by aliens? Zane Powers, that's one of my greatest fears. Thank you very much. I'm not going to sleep tonight. That's not cool. Jordan Sloflo, what are some of your favorite Jason Schwartzman performances? I gotta say, Cast Iron Cooks on Sesame Street, also Rushmore. Paige Howard, question, was there a lot of people in your screening of the Sonic movie? Mine was surprisingly packed. No, it was like 5 people. It was an early show, so I'm a little surprised. There wasn't a lot of people. Lauren Jones, question, can comics be classified as noir, cinch, black side, or is that limited to film? I would say noir is more of a detective kind of thing. It's a certain genre kind of thing. It could be, if that's what they're doing. I've noticed a lot of people just think of like old, and like if you do pre-World War II, to me that's not noir. It has to be a certain kind of post-World War II thing. It can be influenced by noir and be neo-noir, which would be more of a current thing. If that's the case, I don't know the specific thing you're talking about, but that's how I would classify it. Zane Powers, thoughts on the movie Patch Adams, Cop and Half, and Theodore Rex? I haven't seen any of those, so I saw Theodore Rex once. I don't remember it. Okay, I agree. Hardcore Henry and Dread are video game movies, but they're not, like, I think, adaptations of video games. I think that's what I mean. Those use video game. I mean, you could also say Son of Saul is probably the best video game movie, but I don't think anyone wants to say that. You know what I mean? I think it's just like stories that take on how video games tell stories, but it's not necessarily, I think, what people would consider a video game movie. There's films that took on how plays are told dramatically, but they're not considered the best adaptation of plays. I think it's sort of something along those lines. Well, but that's a good question. Zane Powers, when are you going to lay the hard truths on Sophie, telling her how things like Disney are soulless corporations that don't care about her and all the things she like is just to make money? I don't agree with that kind of stuff because I think things can be entertaining, but I think people just kind of get to that on their own. And I don't think you want like your dad to tell you that when you're 3 or 2. You know, that's not cool. You know, do you really want that memory when you're 2? I don't think so. Question: how would you feel if Creech appears in the Sonic movie sequel? I would love it because Creech needs work. That guy, it's been a hard life for him. He needs some good stuff. Nijikichu, question: if you can debate Doug Walker, what would it be about? I wouldn't mind interviewing Doug Walker, but I think we could start up a conversation. I don't think I would get immediately confrontational, but I don't know. I think him and I are very different in terms of, like, you know, I did a lot of film education before I started making YouTube videos on movies. He did not really. You know, I got to work on amazing cartoons before I did reviews, and he also did not. So I think it would be an interesting conversation. We come from different backgrounds. I probably would ask him about The Wall. I don't know. It'd be hard because I think he's proud of those things, and I wouldn't want to be a jerk to just shit on him, but I'd also confront him about, like, do you think it was right to treat your friends that way? Do you regret some of those behaviors? I would try to, like, sort of get more of his perspective on that, but I do feel like they kind of feel like they're a little untouchable, so I don't know how far you could really get with that. So I don't know. He's never asked me. I've never talked to him, so I don't think he knows I exist. Jim with Donnie Darko Doug back to his janitorial job. Jesus. Question from Not Plausible. Not really a question, but I'm really surprised how many YouTubers came onto the platform due to the 2008 recession. I wouldn't say that that was not really the case for me, but I think a lot of people did because they had the time, because there were a lot of people around that age that just had just like a shitty job and couldn't really go anywhere. And I will say a lot of us got stuck in certain positions and got stuck in certain jobs just to survive, and I think that was a way to kind of like get you through it. Anyway, Zane Powers, you got a lot of questions, but let me do someone else again before we do Zane Powers. Ryan says, thoughts on each 90s Sonic cartoon. The Saturday morning one I remember liking a lot at the time. The Adventures of Sonic, the one that Ian really likes, I also really like that, and probably have more fun memories of me and my brother asking my mom to make us chili dogs for dinner one night that week because of that. And that's how we got chili dogs kind of on the regular family menu because of that. So I always found that one to be more fun and more accessible, and I really like that one. So I'd say that one would be more of my favorite. I think there are others after that. I didn't watch them, so I don't have an opinion. But those are the two. But I think I watched most of the Saturday morning one, which is the Saturday AM one. And the other one to me was always the 6:30 a.m. one to me because that's when it aired in Maryland. And I really like that, and I get why animators would be influenced by that. I know a lot of animators from Mighty Mouse later worked on that show. Zane Powers, for LGBT representation, do you think it's better to have those characters and not make a comment on it much, or have dramas and conflicts that directly tie to that and their struggles? I mean, I think them not commenting on it in a big movie is bullshit, and I think directly talking about those things in a more universal way works well. I think Moonlight did that excellently well. I think they should talk about it, and I think queer cinema needs to have a bigger voice currently than it does, because it feels like we talk about it more in relation to blockbusters and less in terms of the independent cinema that's made by LGBTQ creators. I'm sorry if I said queer cinema, and that's not the term people use anymore. But I think those creators should be able to make those films for those should be promoted more than us talking about like, is a character in Aladdin gay or something. Like, I don't care about that. Like, they had like 2 lines, that's stupid. Or like in Star Wars, like, we should be talking about actual films that take on those issues and like confronting them and discussing them. And I think that would actually be more helpful. I hope I answered that question. What decade had the strangest movies? I would say the 70s, Jordan. Okay. Zane Powers, as someone trying to figure out what they want to do as long as it's creative, should I shoot for the professional industry or try and make it freelance as a pro? Landscape scares me. I would try to do both at the same time, and that's what I would do. Frankly, I would try to do the professional thing, but always be developing your own thing. Courtney, did you ever have a crush on an animated character? Probably Jessica Rabbit, I would say. Maybe Sailor Moon when I was a kid. Question, will there ever be more for 1989, the year the animation changed? Or videos in that from Pig Pancake. That series, I don't think really did that well as much as the 1988 one. I thought about doing other years, but it wasn't like, other than the first one, none of them really took fire. I was really inspired to do that, but I think the problem with that series, ultimately, is I didn't invent the year. Like, obviously all those things happened in 1988, but no one was really talking about how it was a big year for animation. And I sort of like just willed it into saying like, hey, this is a big year. And everyone was like, sure, guy. So I think that was probably the thing. I don't think I'll do another one of those because it's really time consuming. You have to review all these things. And if I had a lot more time and this was my main job, maybe, but I don't think I'm going to be doing another one of those. But I'm proud of the series that it was. I like everything I created, including the Mighty Mouse review and all the reviews of the other, like I did a Roger Rabbit review because of that. I made a lot of like smaller things because of that, and I'm really happy about that. So I'm glad I did it. I wish it had done better. But I think ultimately you can't just say like, hey, this is an important year, and people are like, oh, cool. But it didn't, I didn't think it would like change animation history, but because I made it, I just, it just didn't seem, I think because nobody's really looking at 1988 that way, and you kind of can't just will that into existence. So, what's the worst year for the movie industry, you would say, from Zane Powers? I don't know. 2000 was kind of bad when I was around. I never really liked as much stuff from the actual year of 2000. I would say that. What is the most tireless dance move? Probably something from Ryan Welchson. Probably something from Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Dapper Spiders, have you seen the Dragon Quest movie? No, and I don't know much about Dragon Quest, so I probably shouldn't see it because I wouldn't know much about that. Zane Powers, do you believe in the butterfly effect? I do believe it is a movie. Jacob Shelter, I hope the next movie he's on, he gets to blow up into a million pieces. There'd be Rick Moranis everywhere. Jordan Bouchard, what is love? Baby, don't hurt me no more. Did you see the Marvin the Martian live-action test footage release? I did not, and I didn't know about that. Send that to me. Maybe I'll talk about it next time. What is your favorite video games of all time? Turtles in Time, baby. That is always the best. And Sonic 2 is up there, too. When you stutter or pause in speech, are you having a non-flashback? Yeah, sure. Not the Chosen One. Nice screen name. Favorite Tim Curry performance? I like Home Alone 2, but obviously Rocky Horror. Favorite question? Favorite Muppets? From Paige Howard, I would say Kermit because I'm a little basic. Grover, Fozzie. I like Ralph. I've probably answered it different ways before. I'm probably contradicting myself. And Big Bird, let's say that. If Doug Walker reviews Monster Trucks, I'm going to come after that motherfucker. Don't be reviewing mine. Monster Trucks is mine, bitch. Don't even try. Don't even try to play with me right now. Alright. What's the best movie with the worst animation and vice versa? What's the best movie with the worst animation? I mean, I guess... Oh, I don't know. Wow, that's a tough one. Damn. That's a good question, Ryan. The best movie with the worst animation and the worst movie with the best animation. Huh. I would probably say, like, the best movie with the worst animation. Man, that's a good one. The best movie with the worst animation. Man. I don't know. I really can't come up. You really stumped me on that one. The best movie, the worst animation. I keep repeating it. Actually, what was that movie? The In Hell movie I watched, the stop motion one from like the Robot Chicken people. That would be that. Oh man, I'm definitely going over at this point. I'm almost making 2 hours. So I think let's wrap this up. Question: can I enjoy eating peas because it lacks country goodness and great penis? I like people. I like that people enjoyed that series. Thank you guys. Do you think? By the way, I don't get this because I'm like scrolling through. Okay, do you think they should make a Mighty Mouse reboot? I think they should, and I also think they should release the Ralph Bakshi one, make that more available. But I think they should. I was just talking about that with my father-in-law about Mighty Mouse tonight. Question: favorite kind of chocolate? Just milk chocolate. I'm basic. Hell and Back. You're right. That was what it was. The thumbnail is so Doug. Aren't my thumbnail or Hell and Back? Or he just reviewed Duckman. I saw that. I think I got everybody. If I didn't, I'm sorry. It's getting a little late. I think we've been doing this for a little bit. Anyway, so I didn't have as many videos this past week. It's been a crazier week for me, but I did the Oscars reaction. I decided it's been a little more live stream heavy. The American dub of Peppa Pig lost media file because it's not a film. So if it's not a film, we'll just do media file if that's cool with you guys. The Sonic review, and then this. I'm going to have a lot more reviews next week, including a Patreon exclusive thing about who won the movie review vote. I think Doolittle will be the next thing I plan to work on. I was working on other stuff, but it's not... Can't talk about that right now. But I think... there'll be more stuff coming out. I don't think there'll be Call of the Wild. I'm not going to review because I want to catch up on stuff, deal with other stuff, and actually get my top 10 out this coming Friday is my plan. So that's the deal with that, because it's been too long. Top 10 needs to come out. So, anyway, I want to say thank you to everyone for being here. Thank you for supporting this channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming out. It's always very appreciated. I hope you guys all have a great Saturday night. I hope you had a good Valentine's Day. I think I talked about everything I wanted to. Also check out Saber Sparks' video about Delgo. We're working on another one, of course, and that should be cool. And yeah, all right, you guys all have a good night. Check out the other stuff if you haven't already, and subscribe if